Well, it is what it is. Watched the news today and it's pretty sad. Man goes into a school, and I figured it all out. I was watching CNN, and then I had CNN on outside, and I had Fox on inside, the local Fox News, and apparently, you know, the guy, the killer, I'm not going to say his name, had some family beef. He goes to his mother's classroom, and his mother's a kindergarten teacher, and he goes in the classroom and I guess he kills his mother, and then starts firing on children. Close to 30 people are dead. 16 of the people found dead were between the ages of 6 and 10. These are little kids dead. In every situation, I look at it from every perspective. When I first heard about this, I was hesitant to do something, so I watched when I was watching it. The local news before CNN had said that the perpetrator's mother was the link. And a different news agency said the man had a brother. And those who know me, my wheels were spinning. Actually, I got a phone call from my wife this morning asking me did I see or hear anything about this incident. I immediately began to gather all the information through my various techniques to come to my conclusion and some kind of explanation. From what I came to before any of the information came out, I said to my wife, I bet you if he knew somebody at the school, he went to do something to that person at the school. Find out he knew somebody at the school, it was his mother. Taking that into consideration, the first thing I said was, you better go see if his brother had something to do with this, or if his brother's still alive. His brother's no longer alive. Apparently they found the brother dead in the family home. So you figure, what could have made this guy flip out? Well, having a mother that is a school teacher and feeling as if your mother has done nothing for you, she spends her time taking care of these kids, how come she didn't take care of me, blah blah, so on and so forth. But how do you torture a little kid's mind? How do you put them into it? There was a jealousy. She spent her time at home talking about those damn frickin' kids and blah 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 and whatever it was. The mother loving and always wanting to be, nurturing the children, wanted to be a teacher apparently, to stay around children. So much love, she wanted to be a teacher. It takes a lot of love and respect to want to teach others' children. So maybe her son, which one person from the community spoke out and said both of the sons were troubled. Maybe that son felt as if his mother didn't care enough. She spent all her darn time with these other kids. How come she didn't treat me like she treats them? Then you go into the parent. Or if that was my kid. Those were my children. From the parent's perspective, when your kids grow up and you have so much to give other children, you might want to just, try to be nurturing to other children. And maybe the mother felt as if she didn't do a good enough job with them and she could do better by helping other children. I don't know. A whole bunch of intangibles. On the news they were saying, we're going to investigate the brother. That was before they'd gotten to the guy's house and found out the brother was dead. What kind of tragedy would be so strong that it would rip a family apart? What problem at home is so deep that it'll destroy one's mind and make him want to go kill a bunch of children as well as his own parent? Maybe the hatred towards his mother. Sounds like a classic cliche that whenever you're in a psychiatrist's office, how was the relationship between you and your mother? Classic. And now, as we come, to our age, we're dawning on the age of Aquarius, I guess. I guess it's about to be. We're going to switch over. Maybe people are so uptight and so wound up that any frustration is enough frustration to make people lash out in the worst way. But regardless of all that, regardless of the loss, I've always said, and I will always say, a crime against a child is a crime against humanity's future. Crime against a child is a crime against our future. So, when something like this happens, it's ridiculous to sit back and say it's not a problem. In the early 80s, they put metal detectors in the inner city schools because there were gangs trying to recruit children right out of schools. Violence in the inner city schools was so bad, they needed metal detectors for knives and guns, weapons. Well, in my neighborhood, that doesn't happen. Well, in my neighborhood, that doesn't happen. It happens there now. It happens in my neighborhood, that doesn't happen. In that town of my neighborhood, that doesn't happen. It happens there now. Like the president said and the governor said, it's too much. It's ridiculous. In our society, it's not like overseas when, some guy's mad at the government or some lady's flipping out for something or whatever. And, people march and, overseas they fight and battle against the government constantly. In our country, we battle and fight. We fight and we destroy and we kill each other to maintain images. And the image of a life that we're supposed to have, it is so far out of reach for people nowadays that they snap. During the Great Depression, You know, those people who worked in Wall Street, they jumped off buildings and bridges. They committed the ultimate suicides. And now, in this country of cowards, if you're not in the military, if you're not fighting for the country, and you're walking around or whatever, you're just a regular guy, and when you want to get bad, you get bad at the smallest common denominator. You flip out on whatever reason floats your boat, and people are sick now. We have a job force that cannot start over from the beginning, so when you say there's no jobs, well, there are jobs. The jobs you have to start over. We can't. People are losing mortgages and can't afford their car payments, can't afford to send their kids to school now, and what do? The pressure is so deep they flip out. That's no excuse for taking the lives of children. Now, I'm the first person to say that no child is innocent, because once a child learns that they can get something from an adult, they're no longer innocent. They play on our weaknesses. And our number one weakness as a parent is we don't want our children to live without. So we're so weak that we'll get and do anything we can for our kids. That's where no child is innocent. When it comes to violence, I mean straight up violence, every child is innocent. Because you can show a child something. We had Popeye and Bluto beating the hell out of each other every day on TV. We knew. Put up the fisticuffs. You can knock him out. And then you got laser guns and all kind of guns and stuff in cartoons, and then we knew you could shoot somebody. In the video games, you could shoot somebody and shoot him again. It's okay, he'll get up. The Westerns, you know, we watched as kids. They always were on another Western, so, you know, they shot John Wayne last week and he's on TV again. These kids ain't got that. They have rap music. They got violence on TV. They got, you know, people's heads getting literally blown off on regular TV, and they got cartoons where it's ultra violent. Even though they're showing robots getting blown up in most of these cartoons, or droids, or clones. It's an excuse. But they still show pretty much humanoid types falling at the hands of other humans. That violence, that anger, and that quick release to kill someone else and kill someone else and then kill yourself. It's it's like a violent, what's the word I want to use? A violent coward. You know, in the movies, Arnold Schwarzenegger walks up to the police station. He says, "Is Sarah Connor here?" I don't know if he said it like that. Or, "Do you have a Sarah Connor? Is she working tonight?" I don't know what he said, but in the movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger was a robot, and he was blasting human beings in a police station. In real life, you have the coward that was overseas blasting those kids at the German guy. I don't know if he's German or whatever. The guy overseas, you know, blonde hair, stood up and did the Hitler thing in court and all that stuff. You see him blowing up kids, and then you got, you know, the guy in the Aurora movie theater blowing up people. Mental illness is at the root of this. You know, mental illness is no joke. And there's a boiling point for every single individual. And when someone is sick, they be like, I need my mom's help. Where is she at? Where is she always at? Who is she helping? Who is she always helping? What does she always do? We here, she there. They get her love. We don't. That jealousy, that animosity, and that sickness lies in each and every one of us in these day and ages, these day and times, in these days. That sickness of when every button is pushed until you explode and getting even with those who cause the most pain. Like every man who's done something like this, and every man who will do something like this, they will always, every time, be wrong. Just like the person who accuses somebody of something, and then they go all the way out their way to find out that the person is innocent. These people who flip out and do these mass killings believe that there is something or some entities or some people out to get me. I gotta get them first. This is the cause of my problem, so I'm gonna take it out on these people. Just like racism. Just like sexism. Just like, the quote unquote women who hate men because of what other men have done. That same sick illness. And it all, it's not just mental illness, it's mental illness with selfishness, with fear, self-loathing. All these intangibles create a sick mind. And every single one of us in this world is sick because we have our own needs. Oh, I need this. I have to. It's me. Everyone has their own set of emotions, and everyone's emotions and feelings get hurt. The thing is, we can't handle rejection, and we can't handle our feelings being hurt. And when someone does it, and we put up with it, because that's what we do. We're human beings. We give ourselves suffering, and we put up with it. Oh, I'm hurting so bad, and you put up with it. And you get burned out, and you can't put up with it anymore. That is what's happening. People are burning out. Their competency level is so low. Their esteem level is so low. And the fact that everything is hopeless all around you is so high. Everything is hopeless. Is there a chance of me getting a job? No. Is there a chance of you ever being happy? No. Everything is against you. So what do? You systematically point out everything that's a problem for you in your life, and you lash out after it. The mother, the school, the people who she spent her time with when she should have been spending time at home with her kids. That is how one person's selfish mind works in a situation where 16 to 18 children are dead and several other adults dead. People in the hospital. Our mental illness goes back, way, way back. As little boys, we're taught to be strong. Don't be no punk. Don't be this. Don't be that. Don't be this. Don't be that. Don't be this. Don't. You ought to do this. You ought to do that. And we put pressure on our kids. Can you imagine being the little kid and your father wants you to ride a bicycle and you're scared of a bike and you fall off a bike and hurt yourself and you never want to ride a bike again? Sucks to be the parent to do it to the kid and then to find out you hurt your own kid because you forced him onto a bicycle. Or the parent who forces their kid to go fishing You see the majestic fish in the water. Beautiful fish, hasn't bothered no one. Then your dad snatches him out. Big old hook in the mouth. Chops his head off. Flips the head back in the water. Throws the rest of the fish in the bucket. Battery dying. Wow, it's plugged up. I'll call you back. Dr. Dre. So, you know, that's what happens. Child maybe was forced to go to school. Child forced to see their mother giving so much love and care to these other kids. That feeling that she's my mom. She should be doing for me. That overwhelming selfishness. What about me? We also talk about other people's problems. If I have a problem and you have a problem, and I'm telling you about my problems and you're telling me about your problems, and I look to you and I'm like, well, my problems are more important. Well, see, to you, your problems are more important. As individuals, we fail to look at how another person's problems may affect you or may affect me. Sometimes when you don't show someone else compassion, they feel as if you just don't care. And then we go to our society to where there's groups of people of us out here in this world where, you know, we're just supposed to go through life listening to what other people have to say and, you know, pandering to their needs and not ours. And some people do that till they get to the point to where they snap too. They have been pushed over into someone else's business for so long that by the time they snap back into their own business, they're just so ticked off. They lash out at those people who really depended on them, you know, in the first place. You know. So when it comes to mental illness, you have to look at every single person. Why are we constantly seeing the same situations over and over and over? Those are just evil people. Well, yes, there are such things as evil people. But each deed, no matter how despicable and sickening they are rooted somewhere. Even though the excuses that these mass murderers use are whimsical. I mean, it was nonsensical. Fantasies. Whatever excuse they need. Whatever excuse. Some people, that's not an excuse. This is my reality. And the inner workings of one brain, they may be physically look the same, but they don't work the same. They're all wired different. This is a box that wires itself to work in its best capacity based on the damage it has done. These brains that we have in our head are the ultimate black boxes, because when one part of the brain is damaged, there's other parts that compensate. And when that stuff compensates, when you have neurological disorders in one's brain and the brain compensates and functions in a way it's not supposed to be functioning, not the original design, but it is designed to continue to function regardless of the stress placed upon it. In other words, when you twist the mind, you warp the brain, and when the warped brain is still functioning, you don't know what's going to happen when someone snaps. And it all is boiled down to human mental illness. Everything can be fine. Oh, wow, we never saw anything over there. You know how it is on the news. Oh, that was a great family. I didn't know. And then the father kills the entire family. In this case, it was the brother. Killed the entire family and took a bunch of innocent children with him. But in his mind, they were the root cause. And I'm no psychiatrist, but I play one on YouTube. I'm a philosopher. And my philosophy is based in the mind. If you look at things from other people's perspectives, we can see life in a better light. If we look at things from our box, from our corner, from our section, from our quarter, from our zone, then we'll only see from our perspective and all those who influence our perspective. That's why there's racism. That's why there's sexism. That's why there's hate. If we looked at every individual like he's his own nation, he's his own country with his own problems, with his own, atmosphere. If we can study the inner workings of a clock to find out how the clock works, but we're afraid of the inner workings of the mind. We're quick to give a pill to a problem, creating a bigger problem. When you're abused as a child, some people lock it out, put those things behind doors that have to be pried open by very tedious hands. A locksmith of the mind to unlock the problems in which that causes the bad behaviors. These locksmiths are far and few in between, and everything's based on opinion. So when you see someone and you know them not to be in their right mind, and the guy is telling you, man, I'd put somebody in a trunk and flip it over a hill. You talk to your friend. Talk to them with kid gloves. No, what you putting people in boxes for? Flipping them over hills or stuff like that. Don't do that. That's crazy stuff. You wouldn't want nobody to do it to you. Don't do that, man. Come on, let's go get another beer. Ha ha. Whatever. We in this country tend to say you're crazy because we know when our friends are crazy. This is a little crazy that we can deal with. I've known him, I've known her, they've always been crazy, but they will never hurt nobody. It's those people that we have never known to have had a crazy bone in their body. It's the one that we know is the most sane that does the craziest. It's the one who shows no emotion but holds the most inside. It's the one that everybody thinks doesn't give a damn, but he's hurt by everyone saying, you just don't give a damn. These are our friends. These are our neighbors. These are our police officers. These are our troops. These are our airplane pilots. These are our bridge and toll takers. These are our bus and train drivers. These are our taxi cab drivers. These are our teachers, doctors, nurses, firemen. These are people we walk around and walk amongst every day. Doesn't have to be the dope fiend, the nerd. Doesn't have to be the loner. Doesn't have to be the guy working on the 40th floor who just found out he's been, bypassed for a promotion again by some 16-year-old who only works the weekends. It's everybody. We all have problems right now. We all do. Every single one of us. There's not a one person on this planet that's a real human being that does not have a worry. But I'm telling you folks out there, the problem with mental illness is you don't know which tremor will be the major earthquake. You don't know what key word will set somebody off. You don't know what bad action by the next person that might get a whole room full of people injured. So, for the next few months, could everybody just show a little compassion, a little respect, a little love? Let's stop being so critical of people. Stop yelling and being angry, because life is too damn short. We live in a day and age where babies can't even go to school. I may have locked myself into this room, in this house, in the worst experiment a man could ever put himself through. The self-imprisonment. That's the worst thing I could have ever done to myself. But after doing what I did, after dealing with my mental illness, it brings me to another conclusion. Was I right? Is this ringing in my ears telling me to stop talking? I'm telling people the right thing to do. Is staying in the house away from stupid people the right thing to do? No, you cannot hide. You got to live your life. You can't take your kids out of school and start homeschooling them now, because they will lose the human touch. We don't just touch each other by a hand. We walk across a room full of people, we feel the vibe. Without vibing on another human being, I'm telling you, we will be the worst species in the galaxy at this rate. We will be afraid of our own shadows, because, yeah, in the future somebody will be able to get us through the shadows. And let's not fear ourselves out of a real reality. The reality is we've been driven into sickness. Like lemmings, we're all sick. We're sick with the greed of selfishness. We're sick with the needs of basic human necessities. We are addicted to the basic necessities. And no species that will ever call themselves civilized will sell the basic necessities to the people to the highest bidder. See, our monetary system is driving us crazy. Everything has a price. So does your mental health. Be peaceful. And may God bless those children. May all the families find some kind of closure. And none of those children died in vain. Because they have all taught us a great lesson. Life is as precious as a child. And our minds are that of a child. Bless you all.